Louis Theroux's latest documentary from Palestine has reignited the interest that people have in the region. People that never spoke about Palestine before have had their eyes opened by this wonderful documentary. What did you make of it, Sarah? You watched it yesterday.
Yes, I did. And I wonder if you are outside the country, outside like one of those people that were speaking, and I'm talking about the Israelis there, the settler who encouraged the settlements of Jews. I wonder if they had to come out of, I would say, Palestine, they say Israel, and be in a country like England, for example. Can they claim and say the land is for us and no one else can live here?
Well, what do you understand by the term settler? What does it mean? In Arabic, I might be wrong, mustawta. Mustawtinin are the plural, right? Mm-hmm. So what does mustawta mean?
Mustawtan is someone that came and took your land.
Okay. Yeah. And it's a similar word, or the same term was used for the Europeans that went to North America, the European settlers. The legal context, as I understand it, the people living in the settlements in the West Bank and in East Jerusalem, that is illegal under international law. But within that, you've got the settlements that are illegal under international law but recognized by the Israeli government. And you've got people just doing it themselves, setting one up illegally or outside of the law, and then eventually sometimes Israel recognizes it. But because it's not really a phenomenon that's happening currently anywhere else, it's hard to even make an equivalence or an analogy. Would you accept it? A similar thing did happen in Cyprus when Cyprus was invaded in the 70s. Northern Cyprus was taken by Turkey, and from that time Turkey did transplant their population, their civilians, into war-won land, that's the war crime that's been committed in both places. And it was put to the court, and I believe it was proven that Turkey were breaking international law by doing that. And this was held up as an example of how it can be proven what's happening in Palestine is illegal.
It's illegal, but it's protected by the IDF. So, like, maybe you've watched the clip when one of the IDF came and he was speaking to the presenter, and he was saying to him, do you know who I am? I'm from the IDF. And he had his face covered anyway.
Okay.
Like, honestly, anybody who have watched the documentary, and if you haven't, please watch it. Just the manners, of you standing like that and speaking to somebody and saying to them, we are above everything, It's really upsetting. Like, you just think, really? Like, what is this? So if these people have no manners to even speak, I'm not surprised that they are, doing everything else that we've been seeing in the past year.
They did there's a famous experiment, I can't remember the name of it, but where they split people up into groups. It was a prison guard experiment where one group of people put on the uniform and became the prison guards, and the other group were just the prisoners. And as soon as you've got one group and another group and a uniform, people start mistreating each other. People start hating each other. People start abusing each other. If you've got that with weapons involved as well, can you imagine what it would be like? As soon as you feel you're in that superior group, you're going to start beating down on these people. I probably told you this story before when me and Jamal went to Khalil, Hebron, the first time. And there's a clip in Louis Theroux's documentary where he's saying, are you Palestinian? You can't come in. And Louis Theroux, as an international with with a British passport is able to come in, but local Palestinians can't enter this section of Hebron. And Jamal, with a Muslim name and from a Muslim country, was not allowed in when he was interrogated by the IDF that were manning the checkpoint. I got through with a British passport with another British guy that was with us. And funny enough, while we were inside visiting Abraham's grave on the Jewish side of the grave, that's literally split in two. You can look through the sort of fence and see the other side, and it's Quranic Arabic all around the maqam, around the grave. But the Jewish worshippers are going to visit it because that's on their side. I mean, this grave was protected by the Muslims for a few hundred, nearly 1,000 years. And while we were inside, Jamal was outside speaking to the IDF soldier in Russian. He's a recent immigrant from Russia. Jamal from Uzbekistan understands Russian. They were speaking in Russian, and the soldier was telling him, "Yeah, I'm not even really Jewish, but I came here. I had nothing in my country, and they give me a gun, and we're making the Palestinians breathe gas. We're gassing them like with the gas the tear gas canisters," which sadly another friend that I met in Hebron on another occasion was killed due to that gas, and he couldn't breathe, and the IDF refused it to let him have medical attention.
Do you think these are gangs in other countries that have no life, and then they go to Palestine, and then they have the power to, to take over and shoot people? Because who would have the manners? Who would have the gut to be shooting people and holding a gun? And unless if you have a criminal background.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Poor people. The poor in society will always look for a way to punch down, for someone to be better than. If you're living in the poor parts of Russia and you haven't got a penny, like this soldier story, and you can dig out the fact that you've got one Jewish grandparent, that's enough for you to go and make aliyah, as they call it. When you go to live in the Holy Land, it's known as aliyah in Hebrew. I assume that means going up. It sounds like the Arabic equivalent. Ali, going up to live in the Holy Land. So if you're on the bottom rung of society and you're being offered an incentive to go somewhere else, and you won't be on the bottom rung, you'll be the second from the bottom, and you can fire a gun at a Palestinian and you can be better than him. Maybe that is appealing. The housing in the settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem is cheaper. There's a cheap incentive to go and live there because they need to fill this space up with Jewish people so that they can claim this should be part of the Jewish state.
Did you see the guy and his wife living in a caravan? Also, was shown on the documentary. He had about, I think, what did he say, 8 children, 4 girls, 4 boys, and the state of the place and how they live there, but they seem to be promised that this is the beginning, and then they will have homes, and some of them already promised housing in Gaza. So I think what the documentary also showed, that there is no, when they were saying the war in Gaza, it's ethnic cleansing. The Israelis want to take over, and the government are saying no, we're just self-defense and all of that. Sorry. In the documentary, it was clear that no, we will go and live in Gaza. Like that woman, I don't know, I can't remember her name, who her father and mom came also years from, I'm not sure which country, I can't remember now which country they came from.
European country?
Yeah, it was a European country. And
Russia, Poland, Ukraine.
something like that. I don't think I understood where was she from originally, and I think she said it really quickly because she wants to claim to be from Palestine. She goes in every gathering to speak and to say, you know, no, we're going to take over, we're going to grow, and her dream is to see all of Gaza, you know, taken over, the whole of the region. And in fact, you know, she has the map and she says, this is my dream. So she has no fear of saying, we are taking over, we are, you know, getting rid of the Palestinians. And they would not accept to say Palestinian. If you speak and ask them, in the documentary, again, I'm not saying that, in the documentary, when, what's it,
Louis Theroux.
Louis Theroux, when he mentions the Palestinian in the documentary, and that happened more than once with more than one person, they would say, no, we don't like to call them Palestinian, or we don't want, you know, they don't want to say the word Palestinian at all. And then he asked them, what do you call them? They said the Arabs.
This is to emphasize the idea that there's no difference between an Arab from Palestine and an Arab from Jordan, an Arab from Iraq, an Arab from Saudi Arabia, Arab from Egypt. So they can just go and live somewhere else, go and live in any Arab country.
But there are Arab Jews.
Of course.
So how do the Arab Jew feels? If you're an Arab Jew or a Yemeni Jew, Iraqi Jew, I want to know your opinion if you are called the Arabs. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you feel? Like, why this supremacy? You know, like, why? I don't understand. And again, I'm going to question the religion here again and say, I haven't read the Torah, but I don't think there is a religion that says no one else deserves to live apart from us. I don't think any religion or any book comes from God would say everyone else die and only us, the people that practice this religion, deserves to live. I would question that. I would say maybe go back and read the Torah or the original book, because I don't think there is a book that would say kill everyone else and be the only people that live in this land.
Unfortunately, there are people of each religions that interpret their book like that. But yeah, I don't agree with that.
I mean, we live by the Inna Ardullahi wasi'a. You know what wasi'a means? Ardullah.
The land of God.
The land wasi'a. Huge, big.
Okay.
So if your rizq, do you know what the meaning of rizq?
What's meant for you?
What's meant for you? If it's not in that land and you go another land and you make money living, then you're meant to be in that land, you know? Who divided the lands anyway? Like, who made this country and this border and this border and this border?
Well, in the Middle East, it's usually borders drawn by the imperial powers that were living there. But why not, wherever you live, does it have to be a state for that particular ethnicity? I think it was Gilad Atzmon the other day making the point that if all you really wanted was a Jewish state with a Jewish majority, you could have had the 67 borders, as in how, as far as Israel got before the 6 Day War, and there would have been no question about Jewish majority. You would have retained that majority. But because they keep stealing land, the land gets bigger, and you're taking in other people living on the land who are not Jewish. You're reducing the Jewish proportion of the population. If today you drew a border around the whole area that Israel control, from Gaza to the River Jordan, from the river to the sea, the population would be about half and half. You'd never have a Jewish democratic state. You'd have to either have what you have now, an unfair situation where people living under military occupation who are not Jewish don't have the same rights as the Israeli citizens and the settlers. But how can you? It's an impossible situation to maintain. It's a crazy situation.
I want to ask you about your opinion about the guy that came on the video with Louis Theroux. And he got attacked by the settlers, right? That's the video.
I haven't seen the whole film, by the way, so you'll have to film it.
Okay. No, but this was the clip that we shared in my channel, and had a lot of people are commenting about it. So this person would have put his life at risk because he's revealed his face, he's talking on the camera, and he's just explaining what's the situation really like there. The other soldiers, the IDF soldiers that were in the area, they all kept their face covered.
Okay.
You've seen some of those Palestinians that lives there. What's their life like? Like, are they fearless? Are they, fighting to stay in their land? Do you think, is it fair to say they need to leave because there is no way for them to stay alive, or, have their shops open, their kids safe? Like, what do you think? The Palestinians themselves, some wants to stay until they die there, and some are trying to live and protect their kids. So sometimes they flee to they leave to Jordan or to other countries nearby. What will you do if you've been there? What will you do if you were a Palestinian?
There's a lot of children who are growing up with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and they don't know it, and maybe the society doesn't know it. But anywhere else, it would be clear that you've had a disturbed childhood. But if you've grown up in it, you don't know that. The goldfish doesn't know that he's in water. So they've grown up under this brutal military occupation. The only Jewish people that they meet are IDF soldiers and the settlers. So you're never going to bridge any kind of gaps or make any kind of understanding if that's the only people you encounter. You hear people saying things like, "Oh, it's the Jews have done this, the Jews have done that." And over here, where we protest, we would never say something like that because we can understand that, of course it's not all Jewish people, but if the only Jewish people you've ever met are from a state calling itself the Jewish state, claiming to be doing this in the name of the Jewish religion, you can understand why there is that kind of that understanding.
I haven't mentioned it because you haven't watched the documentary, and I think you should watch it, to be fair, because there were in the documentary campaigns run by Jewish community who would stand and support the Palestinians while they're picking for example, the olives. So there were Jewish. They don't, obviously they have less power than the IDF, but at least they are there. Trying to show support and trying to say to the IDF, stay away. This is, these are their, trees. These are their lands. They're trying to protect them, but
adults and older people in Palestine do absolutely 100% understand that. I was just trying to get into the mindset of a child growing up in that situation. But any of the activists on the ground in Palestine, of course, will understand that, and the older generation might even remember a time, and if you meet the Jewish people that come to the protests in London, they'll tell you, our grandfather told us that we were babysitting each other's kids, and it was a very normal, very positive relationship that at times that the communities could have over there. So why not have a situation where you can live together? that seems absolutely impossible now.
No, of course.
But-
I mean, after you know, like, who can trust who now? You know, like, after you destroyed the whole of Gaza and killed all these people, who can trust who? And there's another point as well in the documentary where they put a picture of a Palestinian, half of the face, and then the other half of someone with a gun, terrorist. As in, they try and show people, any Palestinian you meet, you don't trust them because, you know. So there is that idea that it is what's the word? They try to convince everyone that you don't trust the Palestinian. The Palestinian wants you to die, so therefore you should kill them, you know, or kill their children, or, you know, like, there's a lot of hate in there. It's so sad. And I must say, I don't know, like, I think we are very lucky to live in London, because the beauty of London, and I think something that you don't see anywhere else, that you meet a lot of people from different religions, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different genders, whatever. Like, you have the freedom to be whatever you want to be, right? And the Muslims will be praying on Ramadan, the mosques are full, and you see the Jews are walking the roads on Saturdays, not clearing the buses, and everyone is living in harmony, I would say, right? Like, more or like, no one is allowed to say, I deserve to be walking on this land and everyone else doesn't, or doesn't deserve to exist.
I on Facebook, I follow a few Zionist accounts, and you know, you end up with weird mutual friends, and one of them, who I believe is an Israeli or dual citizen Israeli, shared a picture of France and Muslims praying in the street or something in France, and he was annoyed about the fact, or said, "Oh, look, this is France," and I wrote underneath it, "It's as if these people believe God has given them the right to the land." I even said, invading settlers, trying to make it obvious. It's like they believe God has given them the right to the land. And he completely didn't get it. He didn't get the joke, didn't get the reference. No self-awareness of, oh, hang on a minute. Foreigners went to Palestine and practiced their religion at the expense of other people. He was like, yeah, well, it says in their Quran that they can conquer any land, or anywhere that they go, it can be their land. You just said the world is wide, the world is big.
Yeah, it's the word of God. If you believe in God,
you don't have to make it your own
it's
country.
No. I go and be a good citizen. I will share some benefits to other people, and we will be all in, you know, benefiting one another. I could be a good teacher, a doctor, any career, you name it, and we could all benefit each other, you know.